some ways, I guess I feel like I'm a father who's just seen a child born. I've been working on this for 4.5 years for the Sonoran Institute. We're one of the partners in this. And basically what we saw was a need to do something like this. And it wasn't our idea to come up with this. There were folks out in the West Valley who've been out there for years that have kind of kept the flame going on this. And so we picked up on it. We started to look at BLM lands. So it's federal land only, doesn't include state trust land other than some inholders. And we will work with the state trust land department on that, private lands. And the idea is to protect a contiguous mass that leverages the wildlife corridors, that leverages the existing protected areas, that connects them, and at the same time recognizing, because we're very pragmatic about this, that there are utility corridors, there are transportation corridors, now there are solar developments, and there are going to be more, that we got to work around that. So the role, going back to your question,
sure,
has been to continuously, I got to tell you, I know I've met, I probably had 300, 400 meetings, one-on-one, with different groups. There's no meeting I won't take with anybody at any time to talk about this and to really try to listen as much as we talk, because we've continued to come back and make adjustments in the plan. This truly is something that has been organic, and every map that's gone out has had a draft in it. So that's a real long answer to your question, but a lot of it is focused on stakeholder outreach, bringing that data back, and then adjusting as we go.
Right, and obviously you're trying to get that to work in concert with the preservation of the environment.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a land conservation effort, but not one done in isolation, done with the recognition that we're going to grow, and so where we have conflicts, let's work them out.
Right.
And let's do it up front by engaging with people on the front end rather than have the conflict at the end. So it's a different kind of process. It's not a government-driven process, although we've used government data and we've talked to government agencies. It's a locally driven process.
Right. And so I gather that there's a huge personal investment on your part in time and commitment to this. So you're probably one of the best people informed on that kind of progress. What would you say are the challenges immediately facing you and the goals that you want to see accomplished within the short term?
Well, the goal is to, goals I would say are to achieve consensus. And I think what you saw today showed a lot of consensus, at least to this point, to achieve buy-in from the public. And to have them embrace this, to work with our congressional delegation. This spans two districts, Congressman Franks, Congressman Grijalva, north and south of I-10, to have them work together, hopefully to co-sponsor legislation that we would like to see perhaps by the end of the year. But we have to see how that works out. We have to make sure that what we have on our level given them enough consensus so that they can work on a bill that can meet the tests they need. In terms of challenges, always making sure that you haven't missed anybody. One of the people that I work with, I've heard this from me 100 times, but the stakeholder outreach process on this is never done. It's just at some point you have to decide it's sufficient, and so then you do what we did today, is roll it out. So there will be, we will find out about more information about roads that may be proposed that weren't in the MAG plan, transmission lines that maybe we haven't discovered. There are solar facilities out there that we're working with the solar companies to work around that. In fact, we've got 2 letters of support. There are perception issues about conservation issues, and that they're partisan and they take on sometimes a political life of their own. And if you want to, this is important. This is not a partisan effort. is not a Republican or a Democrat or an independent effort. It is a conservation effort.
Right.
And conservation, as you heard Marshall Trimble say, and no one says it better, is something that has bonded Arizona together. Going back, I mean, to Mo Udall and Bruce Babbitt and Carl Hayden and Barry Goldwater. These are great statesmen, but they were also great conservationists in many ways, all the way back to Teddy Roosevelt 100 years ago. And so overcoming perceptions that, you know, it's a green thing only, and it's not. They're putting the state's interest, especially on the eve of our centennial. I mean, I can't think of anything that fits, as Marshall said.
That'd be excellent.
I just can't think of anything that fits better into the 100-year anniversary of Arizona with something like this that conserves these lands for the next 100 years. And so I think just getting beyond perceptions that are out there that are sometimes inaccurate and getting beyond the politics and making sure it's truly a community consensus.
Right. So perhaps for residents of Arizona who might not be quite so well informed, maybe perhaps from the point of view of a family man who's doing his best to keep a 40-hour week, keep a roof over his head, and so on and so forth, what would the coming developments here mean for the average guy and possibly his children and future generations?
You mean in terms of this project? Well, first of all, they should not think of it in terms of economics, other than that, because there's no fiscal impact to this. This is BLM land that's currently not designated. Right. So we're creating some designations on that land. So there's no negative impact. It's not like you have to go out and buy state trust land or buy private land. There's no fiscal note in the bill or anything like that. I guess what they should think of is that, you know, if they live out here, their quality of life, they have access to an outdoor environment that they know they can count on that will be preserved for their children. And if they happen to live close to one of these, I mean, there are plenty of economic studies out there that say, you know, this is a good thing. Proximity to open space increases value and it increases quality of life. Okay.
Are there any final comments that you'd like to let us have that we could just convey to the readership?
I guess just that this is truly a community process, that we are sincere in that, in stating that we do want input and that we will listen as much as we talk on this, and we want to work the issues out on this as fast as we can to come to that consensus, so we can get on down the road hopefully before the centennial.